Hi everyone, I wanted to show you how I made a diorama for the preacher dude that I made from Beetlejuice. If you remember, there's the wedding scene with Lydia and Beetlejuice, and there's this like preacher dude in the fireplace. And what I wanted to do is make a very basic version of the fireplace to stand the figurine that I made in the last couple of videos. So first of all, I started off by making it out of cardboard and foil, and just made the basic shape without any detail, obviously, because this is all going to get covered in clay later on. But this gives me a decent armature and a basic shape to work from. It's a little bit different from the film version, but I couldn't get many clear pictures. But I've got the rough shape and just decided to do it my own way anyway, like I normally do. So as you can see, what I've done is made it all out of cardboard, and then I started coating it all in the epoxy sculpt, not epoxy sculpt, Sculpey clay, sorry. So first things first is just to get a nice layer of clay down and then worry about the details later on. So as you can see, I've now got it all covered, and now what I'm doing is working on the details, just using my clay tools to mark out where the stones are for the fireplace surround. I did put the lines on too long on here and then realised actually I'd looked at the picture wrong, so ignore this bit, I'll rub it all out in a bit. What I did was obviously just mark out where the rough stone shapes were, because it's like a stone fireplace that's all like twisted and contorted, and there's a hole in the middle with like a broken brick wall behind it, and behind there is where the preacher character walked out from, so that's why it's got the hole in the middle. And later on I'm going to make that have some sort of backing on it so it's black, and I also might put some LEDs in there so it lights up and glows green, because behind the preacher you can see the hole in the fireplace where it's come from. It glows like a sort of greeny colour. To add texture, I used a rolled up ball of aluminium foil and just tap that on the surface of the clay, and it gives a nice sort of stone effect. And then I worked out where I was going to place the preacher that I made, and I decided to have him slightly off to the side, so I can see the hole behind him, and also when I put an LED in, it will make it so he glows up at the back, from the back. So I worked out roughly where he's going to go, and as you can see, I've put the shapes in for the stones of the fireplace, and there's like 3 lines that go up each side. I've put those in, and the little indentations, and then I've put the details of the brickwork in, and literally all I did was smooth the clay out, drew lines and drew the brickwork in with my clay tool, and then used the aluminium foil to go over the top to add the texture to the brickwork and to the stonework. And then once I did all of that and added the detail to the hearth, like the flooring where it's all tiled, then what I did was placed it in the oven and heated the clay for half an hour on 130 degrees centigrade. And that's just to set the clay before doing the next step. To attach the preacher to the stand, what I did was created a hole in the bottom and put 2 dowels into the bottom of the figure, and then 2 holes in the base, and just put lots of hot glue in and glued him on that way. And I found he was nice and secure. I could have painted the whole background before adding him on, but it was easy enough to do with him there, so I wasn't too bothered. Plus this enabled me to see clearly that I was filling all the gaps around him with hot glue, which I can then disguise with paint later on. I did have to repair the back of the fireplace a little bit, because where it attached to the base, I forgot I'd attached it with hot glue, so of course it melted in the oven. and the bit standing up fell off, so I just had a little bit of clay that was lifted, so I just had to glue that back down while it was still warm and pliable before it fully set. And it was fine. I just put plenty of hot glue in any gaps later on and smoothed it down to disguise them, and when it's painted you can't even tell. So I made sure I left him for a bit just to cool down and make sure the hot glue was nice and secure so it wouldn't come off. And then the next thing was to paint the base black, because the tiles, from what I can see on some stills of the movie, the tiles at the bottom are like a purpley black colour. So I painted them black first of all and then added a bit of a purpley colour on top, just to give that little variation in the colour. So here I'm just applying that base coat of black. Make sure getting all the nooks and crannies and everything to add depth to the piece, because if you don't get into all the nooks and crannies, you're going to have lots of bare clay showing and it just spoils the effect. And I'm just applying that using like small strokes and dabbing motions to make sure I get in all the little grooves. And obviously going around all the back. The back I kept quite plain, because obviously that would be against the wall if it's on display, and just painted the back of the diorama black. I wasn't really too worried about the details there, and then obviously painted the front the colours it is as best as I can get from what I've seen from the screenshots, with my own little twist to it. For the fireplace surround, I started off with a greeny base, because it's like a sort of, I know in the film obviously the green light's glowing onto it, so it's like a greeny sort of stony colour. So I did like a base of green and black first of all, and then several layers of dry brushing over the top in various colours to lighten it to more of like a stone colour with just a little bit of a green tint to it. I found the brickwork, took a couple of layers of black and making sure I get in all the grooves, and then it was just a case of dry brushing some white over the top and some very pale grey over the top of the bricks to make the details show, to make all that texture show up that I created by using the foil ball. And I'm also using a light grey dry brush over the top of the floor tiles for the hearth area, and I'm just making sure I get the dark black paint in all the recesses and the crevices, just to make them stand out a lot more later on. As you can see behind him, the hole in the fireplace is hollow at the moment. That's because I haven't finished that bit yet. What I need to do is actually put something behind there to keep it dark, but also something I can fit some LEDs in to make it glow green. So I haven't decided how I'm going to do that yet, so I've left that for now. If you didn't want to add lights to this, you could just get a piece of black card and stick it at the back of the display, or just put a piece of clay over the back behind the brickwork and paint that black. Whichever way you want to do it would work. I want to add some depth to it, and I'm going to have it, maybe it's like a box at the back or something with some LEDs fitted. Then for the fireplace surround, I just did various layers of different shades of grey and white, dry brushing over the top to lighten up that colour, make it more of a sort of greeny tone blended in with a stone colour. At one point I mixed some yellow ochre with some white and dry brush with that. Then once that was dry, I went over with a layer of white. Sorry about that, that was my phone. Then as you can see, I'm just dry brushing over the brickwork that is behind the character. And then making sure I dry brush over the top of the fireplace, so what do you call it, the hearth, as well as the fireplace surround. And then later on what I did was I went into all the nooks and crannies of the fireplace surround with some black, and then brushed off the excess, just using like a black wash, just to make those crevices stand out a bit more and to make those details pop. And then for the like stripes, like the lines that are in the fireplace, I went over those later on with some black and as you can see, what I do is just smudge with my finger just to blend and remove any excess and blend it in. And that was it. Once I did that, the model was complete. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.